When you think of Pele, you probably picture jaw-dropping goals, right? And, of course, those 3 World Cup trophies. He is, without a doubt, one of the greatest to ever touch a football. But what if I told you his true legacy goes way beyond the pitch? Today, we're diving into how Pele became this incredible force that actually reshaped the rules and the entire business of the sport itself. Let's get into it. I mean, his stats on the field are just legendary. Over 1,200 career goals, a number so huge it honestly sounds made up. And that's the foundation of the myth, right? That undeniable genius gave him a platform that really no other athlete of his time had. But what he did with that platform, well, that's the real story we're here to talk about. Because as amazing as those goals were, you can make a serious case that his biggest impact wasn't on the scoreboard at all. It was on contracts, on economies, and on the actual laws that governed his sport. So we're going to look at 2 completely different legacies, one as a market maker and the other as a liberator. Okay, first, let's go back to the United States in the 1970s. This was a country where, let's be honest, football meant helmets and shoulder pads, not the beautiful game. Pelé's arrival there wasn't just some late career paycheck. It was the spark that literally ignited an entire professional sports market. Just look at the timing here. It's 1975. Pele is 34 years old. He's already had a brief retirement, and then he does something absolutely shocking. He signs with the New York Cosmos, a team in the kind of shaky North American Soccer League. Nobody, and I mean nobody, saw this coming, and it changed everything for soccer in America. To make it happen, the Cosmos had to make him the highest paid team athlete in the entire world. His 3-year contract was worth a then unheard of $2.8 million. This wasn't just a salary, it was a massive, high-stakes bet on a single person to build an entire league from the ground up. So did that bet pay off? Oh yeah, the numbers on this slide say it all. The season before he got there, the Cosmos' largest crowd was just a little over 8,000 people. By his final season, their average crowd was over 42,000. Some games were pulling in over 70,000 fans. That, right there, is the Pele effect, in black and white. And historians now look back at this moment as the single biggest catalyst for professional soccer in the US. He didn't just sell tickets, he planted the seeds for the sport's future, a boom that, you could argue, is still going on today. Okay, so Pele's influence wasn't just about creating markets in other countries. Back home in Brazil, he was building a totally different kind of legacy. There, Pele became a liberator, using his political clout to completely change the power dynamic between players and their clubs. Now, to really get the scale of his impact, you have to understand the system he was up against. Before 1998, Brazilian football clubs basically owned a player for life. Even after your contract was up, the club still held your rights. They could demand a huge fee to let you go, which meant you couldn't move freely. You were stuck. The players themselves had a name for it. Zinho, who was a Brazilian World Cup winner, described the system in one powerful phrase: almost slavery. It trapped players, it kept their wages down, and it gave them pretty much zero control over their own careers. And this is where Pelé the icon becomes Pelé the lawmaker. After his playing days were over, he actually served as Brazil's Minister for Sport, and from that position of power, he pushed for a revolutionary law that would eventually be named after him. The Pelé Act of 1998 was a total game changer. It completely dismantled that old system. It got rid of those indefinite non-compete clauses. It gave players true free agent status once their contract was up. And in doing that, it caused this seismic shift of power, away from the clubs and directly to the players. So here's the big question. What happens when you suddenly introduce free market ideas into a system like this? You'd probably guess everyone's wages shot up across the board, right? Well, the reality was a lot more complicated and, honestly, pretty surprising. The economic result of the Pele Act was fascinating, and it feels totally backwards at first. The average wages for younger players actually went down, but the wages for experienced veteran players went up a lot. So what on earth was going on? It all comes down to this idea of asset value versus bargaining power. Before the act, clubs paid young guys a premium because they were buying a long-term captive asset they knew couldn't leave. After the act, that value was gone. Instead, veteran players could now use their freedom to negotiate for much bigger salaries, playing different clubs against each other. And here's the key takeaway. While the timing of their earnings changed, players' total lifetime income went up significantly. And when economists analyzed the law's total impact, they found something truly remarkable. The Pele Act didn't really make the game itself more efficient. Its overwhelming effect, we're talking 99% of it, was simply wealth redistribution. It took money that was going to the clubs and put it right back into the pockets of the players. So when you put all of this together, a whole new picture of Pelé starts to emerge. He wasn't just some amazing player performing inside a system, he was an architect designing brand new ones. On one side of the globe, he's a commercial catalyst, creating a market almost out of thin air just with his star power. And on the other, he's a political reformer, fighting for labor rights and changing the financial structure of the sport for every generation of player that came after him. It's a legacy of pure transformation. Yeah, his feat made the game beautiful, but his influence off the field changed the rules of the business and empowered the very people who played it. And that really leaves us with one final thought. We celebrate so many athletes for what they do on the field, but how many have ever had the power to rewrite not just the record books, but the law books too? That is the unique and lasting power of Pelé.